I still hear her whispering my name, even though I know I was completely alone that night. I used to work the overnight security shift at a mid-size corporate office outside Denver. Nothing glamorous, just badge checks, camera monitoring, walking laps through hallways that always felt a little too quiet at 3 in the morning. Honestly, I took the job because I wanted something slow. Something that wouldn't poke at the burnout, chewing through my daylight hours. But the building had this one flaw. One light. On the 7th floor, the only floor rarely used anymore. It never turned off, ever maintenance. Said it was a wiring issue. Management said it wasn't worth the cost to fix. My supervisor joked, it added character, but every person who'd worked nights before me said the same thing. Don't linger on 7. Don't stare at the glass long enough to see things that shouldn't be there. I thought they were messing with me, until the night it started. It was around to a .m. I was doing my usual slow lap, sipping stale coffee, scrolling through memes on my phone, trying to pretend my life wasn't stagnating. You ever get that weird itch in your brain, like you're supposed to pay attention even though nothing's happening? That's what I felt. Just this sudden, sharp awareness. I looked up at the elevator. The doors were opening. Nobody had called it. Inside, every light was off, except the emergency strip, glowing faint blue. The air felt colder, just standing in front of it. I told myself the system probably just glitched. Old building, old wiring. You know the drill. Still, I stepped inside. Because that was my job, because I was bored, because I didn't know yet what waited for me upstairs. When the doors closed, every floor button lit up. Every single one, and then they went dark. All except 7. I didn't push anything. The elevator just hummed and started rising. I swear the entire shaft felt like it stretched longer than usual. Like the car wasn't just going up, it was traveling somewhere narrower, more hollow, like the building was inhaling me. When the doors opened, the hallway was dark. Only one glow at the far end spilled a faint yellow rectangle onto the carpet. That stupid light. The one that never turned off. I stepped out because my brain kept repeating, "You're alone. Don't freak out. Don't make this something it's not." But the air felt thick. Heavy, almost like the silence had weight. Halfway down the hall, I heard it. A whisper, soft, feminine. Close enough that the breath felt like it touched my ear. But the voice came from ahead of me. "Come on, you can see me." I froze so hard, my bones hurt. My first thought, genuinely, was that someone had broken in. But that whisper didn't sound like someone trying to scare me. It sounded like someone amused. Someone who already knew how this would end. I tried talking. "Hello. Who's up here?" No answer. Just that light. Flickering, I took another few steps, and that's when I noticed something new. Something that wasn't there the night before. A door, halfway open. Office 721. Except, that office had been stripped, empty, locked, no power. But inside, I could see movement. Slow, rhythmic. Like someone shifting their weight side to side, waiting for me to come closer. My fight or flight kicked in, but neither worked right. My legs moved forward anyway, like I was sleepwalking. I kept trying to talk myself out of it. It's probably a squatter. It's probably a shadow. It's probably nothing. But that whisper came again, sliding along the inside of my skull. "You came back late tonight." Back, I'd never been there before. Not like this. I pushed the door open the rest of the way. Inside was darkness. No furniture. No power. Just cold air, and the shape of someone standing against the far wall. A woman, long hair hanging over her shoulders, head tilted like she was trying to listen to something behind me. I stepped back. The shape didn't move, but the whisper moved. This time, it came from behind me. "I knew you'd come alone." I spun around. Nothing. Just the hallway stretching into darkness. When I turned back, the woman was inches from my face. I didn't hear her move. I didn't feel her step. She was just there, like she'd blinked into existence. Her eyes weren't dark or hollow, or glowing like in horror movies. They were worse. They were perfectly normal. Human, soft brown. The kind of eyes you feel like you've seen before, and can't place. She smiled, not wide, not monstrous, just a quiet, knowing smile. "You left me up here," she said. "Why did you leave me?" My mouth dried out. I couldn't speak. She leaned closer. "It's okay. Stay with me this time." Her hand rose slow, gentle, like she wanted to cup my cheek. I stumbled backward into the hallway and sprinted for the elevator. I slapped the button over and over, even though it doesn't make a difference. The doors felt like they took whole minutes to close. As the elevator descended, I heard the whisper again, but not in the car. Inside my head, "You'll come back." When the doors opened on the ground floor, the world felt normal again. Warmer, louder, real. I quit the next morning. Told them I had personal conflicts. They didn't ask. But here's the part that keeps me awake even now. Days later, I checked the building's old directory out of pure paranoia. 7th floor photos, staff portraits, archived positions. There was a woman in one of the old frames, soft brown eyes, hair falling the same way. She worked in office 721. She'd gone missing almost 20 years ago, and the note under her photo. "Last seen after returning alone to finish a late-night project. Honestly, I don't know what I saw. I don't know why she recognized me. I don't know why she said I left her there. But if anything like that has ever happened to you, if you've ever felt someone calling you back to a place you swore you'd never return, tell me I'm not losing my mind." I should have known something was wrong the moment the radios went silent. I used to work overnight at a small, almost forgotten community hospital on the edge of a rural town in Ohio. I wasn't a nurse or anything noble. I was the graveyard shift dispatcher, the person who answered calls from paramedics, logged incoming patients, and passed messages to the ER staff who were too exhausted to look at the screens themselves. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, and honestly. Being awake while everyone else slept made me feel less alone in a weird way. Like the world was quieter, and I could finally hear my own thoughts. But there's a difference between quiet and silence. Silence feels wrong. Silence feels intentional. That night, a little after 1, the frequency stopped humming. Normally, even when nobody was talking, the radios gave off this soft, static, a low, fuzzy background noise that became part of my brain. When you work nights long enough, silence becomes suspicious. It's like hearing the absence of something you depend on. I tapped the receiver, checked the board, looked for alerts. Nothing, just dead air. At first, I figured the weather knocked something out. There'd been wind earlier, a little rain, no big deal. But the hospital's radios were built like tanks, old enough to survive nuclear winter, according to my supervisor. Still, I tried raising the paramedics. "Unit 2, do you copy?" "Unit 3, confirm status." Dispatch calling any active units. Nothing. Just this cold, smooth silence. Then the phone lines went down. Not all of them. Just the external ones. Internal calls still worked. I could reach the ER, the ICU, even the janitor's closet, if I felt like it. But anything outside the hospital clicked once and dropped. I remember staring at the switchboard lights, feeling that slow, creeping sense that something wasn't broken. Something was being blocked. I called the ER. "Hey, are you guys getting anything on your end?" The charge nurse sighed, distracted. "No. But honestly, tonight's been dead. Maybe the universe is finally giving us a break." I laughed, but it sounded fake. Forced, my fingers kept tapping the desk, restless. I told myself to chill. People romanticize night shift horror way too much. But then the alarms started. Not real alarms. Not patient monitors. Not the fire system. Alarms from the dispatch console. Old ones. Ones I'd never even heard before. Green lights blinking, then yellow, then red. Each corresponded to a channel that didn't exist anymore. Retired decades ago. One by one, they lit up. All except the newest channel. The one I was supposed to monitor. It felt like the entire system rewound itself to some older version of the hospital's life. Like I was listening to ghosts breathe through wires. I tried muting them, resetting them, pulling up diagnostic screens, but the console wouldn't respond. Then a voice came through. Not static, not faint, Clear, sharp, too close. Dispatch, this is Unit 2. We have a civilian down. Repeat, civilian down. No pulse. Requesting our standby. My stomach dropped. Unit 2, that call sign hadn't existed for years. The town only had one ambulance now. I swallowed and answered, because that's what I was trained to do. Unit 2, confirm your location. Silence. I tried again. Unit 2, do you copy? What's your location? More silence. Then, softly. Like someone covering the microphone with their hand. Not alone. I pushed my chair back so fast, it screeched across the tiles. The hairs on my arms lifted. I didn't know if the voice meant they weren't alone, or I wasn't. I scanned the monitors. Every camera in the hospital flickered at once. Just a quick distortion, like someone brushed dust off the lens. Except it happened simultaneously across 30 feeds. Different angles, different floors, different halls. I leaned closer. Something moved across the maternity ward hallway. A shape, wrong proportions, too tall, too thin. Like someone stretched a person vertically in a bad Photoshop. It didn't walk. It didn't limp. It glided. I blinked. When the feed stabilized, the hallway was empty. I reached for the ER line again, but before I could dial, the main radio cracked back to life. A loud burst of static that made me flinch. Then breathing, slow, heavy, right against the mic, followed by a whisper. You hear it too. I froze. I didn't recognize the voice, but I recognized the tone. Someone terrified, trying to hide it. I swallowed. Who is this? No answer, just more breathing, like they were trying to calm themselves. Then a second voice cut through. A woman, raspy, damaged. Stop talking. The first voice exhaled sharply, like they'd been silenced by force. I stood up, heart hammering. I didn't want to be in that room anymore. Everything in me screamed to move, to run, to find someone awake. But the hallway outside felt wrong too. Too still, too expectant. I told myself I'd just walk to the ER. It wasn't far, maybe 60 steps. 70 if you dragged your feet. I clung to that math like it mattered. Like distance could protect me. When I stepped into the hall, the lights dimmed. Not flickered, dimmed. As if the building were breathing out. I walked anyway, because staying still felt worse. Halfway down the hall, I heard it, a voice behind me. Same raspy tone, same damaged breath. Dispatch, I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My throat tightened. I could barely whisper. What do you want? The voice exhaled, a wet, broken sound. You're the only one listening. Cold washed through my whole body. I took the last few steps in a panicked half-run and shoved the ER doors open. The nurses looked up, confused. The lights in here were normal. The air was warm. The world made sense again. Except the ER charge nurse frowned. Why are you shaking? Before I could answer, the overhead intercom, the one only I had access to, crackled on. A whisper filled the ER. Not loud, but unmistakable. Don't leave the channel. The nurses stared at me like I'd brought the voice with me. I couldn't explain. I didn't even try. I walked out of the hospital at dawn and never clocked in again. But sometimes, when I'm lying in bed, trying to convince myself none of it was real, I hear a faint buzz, a click, a breath, and a voice saying, "You hear it too." Honestly, would you have stayed in that building or run the way I did? I didn't believe in haunted buildings. I believed in mold, bad wiring, sleep deprivation, the usual stuff that makes night shift workers see things. Honestly, if you'd told me a year ago that I'd quit my job because of something I saw on the monitors, I would have laughed. I used to brag that nothing scared me. Then the cameras went dark. I worked nights at a self-storage facility just outside Phoenix. A quiet, sun-baked place during the day, but at night it felt like the whole desert wrapped around you. All that heat disappearing at once, leaving the air sharp and empty. I liked the silence. Liked that nobody bothered me. Liked that the only things moving after midnight were the occasional moths slamming themselves into the office window, like tiny, confused idiots. But the cameras, they were my lifeline. My only way of knowing what was happening out there in the long stretches of concrete hallways and metal roll-up doors. So when they went dark, all of them, at once, something inside me tightened. It happened just after 2. I was slouched in my chair with a microwaved burrito, scrolling through messages I didn't have the energy to answer. The monitors flickered. Once, twice, and then every screen collapsed into static. Not white noise, not digital artifacting, actual analog static. The kind that hasn't existed in years. I tried rebooting the system, but the controls were frozen. The mouse moved, but nothing responded. The keyboard might as well have been a toy. And the static, it wasn't random. It pulsed in these faint, rhythmic waves. Almost like breathing. I leaned in. Because of course I did. I swear the static changed when I got closer. Patterns shifted. Lines bent. The kind of visual tricks your brain plays when you're overtired. That's what I told myself. Then a shape formed in the grain. Tall, thin, standing utterly still in the center of one feed. I knew which corridor that was. C-block, because of the slight tilt in the camera. I memorized all their quirks weeks into the job. But C-block should have been empty. No late-night renters. No maintenance crews. Nothing. The shape didn't move. It just existed. I tried calling my supervisor, but the office phone gave me dead air. Dial tone gone. Signal dead. My cell didn't pick up a single bar either, which was weird because I'd streamed entire movies at that desk. The desert outside felt heavier suddenly, like the building wasn't just alone. It was isolated, cut off, on purpose. I swallowed, grabbed my flashlight, and did something incredibly stupid. I went out there. The air hit me first, colder than it should have been for August. My breath didn't fog, but it felt like it wanted to. The rows of doors stretched in perfect, silent lines. The overhead lights buzzed faintly, the only sound in the entire facility. I started toward C-block, trying to convince myself this was a tech malfunction. Cameras glitch, systems fail, people hallucinate static shapes at 2 in the morning after eating sketchy burritos. But halfway there, I heard footsteps, not behind me, not ahead, above, slow, heavy. Crossing the metal roof, one step at a time. You know that feeling when you want to run, but your legs think freezing is the better idea. That hit me hard. The flashlight trembled in my hand. Then the footsteps stopped, directly above me. I stood there, staring at the ceiling like an idiot, waiting for something to happen. A leap, a crash, a voice instead. The nearest roll-up door rattled, just once, a single metallic jolt. I almost bolted back to the office. Almost, but curiosity is a curse, and mine has teeth. I kept walking. When I reached C-block, the first thing I noticed was the temperature drop. It felt like stepping into a walk-in freezer. My breath didn't fog here either, but the air felt too dense, too still. I swept the flashlight across the units, one by one. Every door closed, every lock intact. Then the beam landed on something that made my chest tighten. A shadow, the outline of a person, cast on the floor as if someone stood right in front of me. Except there was no one there, just empty air. I backed up slowly. The shadow didn't change, didn't shrink, didn't stretch. It stayed exactly where it was, unmoving. Then, softly, from behind one of the doors, a voice whispered, "Don't turn around." I froze. The kind of freeze your body chooses, not your mind. My pulse hammered so loudly, I felt it in my teeth. The voice came again. Same whisper, same urgency. Don't turn around. It follows movement. My throat closed. I couldn't speak even if I wanted to. The shadow twitched. Just a little. Just enough. I don't know why, I whispered back. Maybe because humans aren't built for silence. Maybe because I needed someone, anyone, to confirm I wasn't losing my mind. What is it? Silence. Then it watched me too. The shadow shifted again. Not toward me, more like it was unfolding, stretching upward, as if trying to remember how tall it actually was. My heart pounded so violently, I thought I'd pass out. I took a single step back. The shadow snapped, not visually, not physically, but something broke in the air. Like tension releasing. like a held breath exhaled. And then it started moving. Slow at first, then faster. Crawling along the floor like liquid darkness, spilling toward me. I ran. I don't remember deciding to. My body just launched into motion, legs burning, lungs tearing open. I didn't look behind me. I couldn't, because the voice had told me not to, and every panic-screaming instinct in my body believed it. The entire facility felt alive. Doors rattled. Lights dimmed. Something scraped along the metal walls behind me, like nails dragging slowly, deliberately. I burst into the office, slammed the door, and hit every single lock, even though they were useless against shadows. The monitors were still static, but the shape, it was gone. All the feeds were empty again. I stood there, shaking, waiting for something, a voice, a rattling door, anything. But the building went dead silent. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Then slowly, one camera flickered back on. C block. Something stood at the far end of the hallway. Still tall, still thin, still wrong. But it wasn't facing the camera anymore. It was facing the office, facing me. I didn't wait. I grabbed my keys, sprinted to my car, and didn't look back. I don't even remember the drive home. I quit by text that same night. But here's the part I can't get over. Every morning since then, at almost exactly 2, my phone screen lights up with a notification. Motion detected C block. The facility disabled my access months ago. I shouldn't be getting anything, but I do every night, and sometimes. Sometimes the notification includes a thumbnail. A shape, tall, thin, still facing the camera. Honestly, would you check the video? Or would you throw your phone into the nearest river like I'm seriously considering?